Welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're making blueberry muffins. Okay, so we're just gonna jump right in. Here's a little tip before we get started. Anytime you pull up a recipe, make sure you read through the entire thing and grab all of your ingredients before you start. After you grab all of your ingredients, go ahead and preheat your oven so that it will be ready by the time we're ready to put our muffins in. Another thing before we get started is you want to grab your muffin pan and go ahead and put your cups in there, okay? Use whatever kind you want. I had blue and I had white, and I was like, well, it's blueberry, so, sprinkle in some blue ones in there. So this part is optional. However, it's not an option for me, okay? I like muffins with like some nice decorative crunch on the top. So before I start putting my muffins together, I've already put this crumble together that's going to go on the top. Like I said, it is optional, but for me, it just gives it like that fresh out of a bakery, and it gives it a really nice look too, okay? So if you're making this for somebody and you're like, I want to take this somewhere, this is going to be good to give it like that. Oh girl, where did you get this from? I got them from my house. What are you talking about? Okay, so the first thing we're starting with is our flour. I've already went ahead and put in my baking soda, baking powder, and my salt in this little cute little bowl here. So we're just gonna put that right in there, and we're gonna give this a nice little whisk to mix it up, and then we're gonna go ahead and set our flour mixture to the side. Now it's time to cream together our sugars. I went ahead and put our white sugar, our brown sugar in here. We're gonna cream it with our butter. Now your butter should be room temperature. My butter started in the freezer, okay? So I needed to pop this in the microwave. Just make sure that your butter isn't completely melted, okay? We were looking for room temperature, but I didn't prepare correctly. So that's why mine's a little melted, but you just wanna make sure that the entire thing isn't melted because we need to cream this together. So I will be getting my hand mixer. You could put it in a stand mixer if you want to, or a hand mixer. I'm going to cream this for about 3 minutes with my hand mixer. Way back here. So we know that this is good and ready because it has gotten bigger in size because we've incorporated air into it, and it's gotten a lot more pale in color, okay? So if you're using your stand mixer or hand mixer, like I said, 3 minutes should be good. So I'm just gonna scrape down some of this in my bowl, and we're gonna go ahead and get ready to start adding our other wet ingredients. You can still use your hand mixer if you would like to incorporate the wet ingredients. I'm just gonna go ahead and use a whisk and add our 2 eggs into our wet mixture. If it'll go. And as I add each wet ingredient, I'm gonna mix it as I add it, okay? So I'm just gonna go ahead and mix these eggs in here. And like I said, you can use your whisk to do this, or since we've already used our hand mixer, you can also use your mixer, okay? That's good and incorporated, okay? So the next thing I'm gonna go ahead and add is my vanilla. I'm going to incorporate that in. And then I'm also going to incorporate my sour cream. I'm gonna throw my sour cream in there. And I'm also going to put these dishes away so our area can stay clean. So this looks pretty good. And now from this point, we're gonna take our flour mixture and we're gonna go ahead and combine these. So I'm gonna take my wet ingredients and just go ahead and pour them over into my dry mixture. Now, if you've noticed that your wet mixture has kind of curdled or started to seem like it's lumped up, don't panic, okay? Don't panic. It's all good. The reason that might be happening is because the ingredients are not the same temperature. And that's why in a recipe when it says your egg should be room temperature, your sour cream should be room temperature, your milk should be room temperature, and your butter, everything should be room temperature, because if you're adding cold things to butter, it's going to cause the butter to kind of lump back up, okay? So if you see it starting to curdle, it's your butter starting to solidify because it's come in contact with cold ingredients. I'm going to go ahead and take my whisk. Now at this point, I would not recommend using a mixer, okay? Because you can easily overmix. So if you are using a hand mixer, I would suggest switching to a whisk or to one of these kind of spatulas, okay? I'm going to go ahead and whisk mine up. We want to make sure that we're not overmixing our batter. Overmixing, of course, is going to lead to some dry muffins. And nobody wants your dry muffins. We want them to be nice and moist, okay? So we want to mix this until it's just combined. So when I say just combined, what am I saying? I mean that we don't really have like flour, like streaks of flour in here. Make sure you get the flour off of the bottom of your bowl, okay? But I'm going to go ahead and say this is just mixed, okay? I didn't overmix it. Once I stopped seeing that dry flour around, to me, that's just mixed, all right? We don't need to go any further.
Stop.
I know it seems a little backwards that I'm adding my milk after we've incorporated everything, but trust me, add your milk afterwards. Also, in baking, if it calls for milk and you want it to be nice and have an extra layer of moisture, go with buttermilk. Trust me on that. Go with buttermilk, all right? Now, if you don't go with buttermilk, that's okay. Regular milk, almond milk, oat milk, it doesn't matter. But if you're looking for like that extra in your bakes, buttermilk every time, trust me. I am going to switch to my spatula while I'm doing this, just because I just want to make sure I'm not over mixing this. So we're going to go ahead and add in our buttermilk and put the dish away because we want our space to be clean. Now I'm just going to kind of fold this in a little bit. Don't be afraid when you're making muffins if your batter is thicker than when you're making a cake or cupcakes, okay? It should be. And now that that's good, we want to go ahead and fold in our blueberries. Yummy. We're going to go ahead and fold these in. So this is looking good. We have a nice thick batter for our muffins. And now we're ready to go ahead and put them in our muffin tin. I'm going to use a little ice cream scoop and a spoon to scoop that out of there. You're just going to take your batter, stick it right in there. So I was talking to a friend yesterday, and it was funny because she was telling me that her muffins always come out like cupcakes. I'm like, okay, like in what way? Like they're just cakey, which I mean, I don't see like there's a problem, right? It's like cupcake. I feel like muffins are like cake for breakfast, like legal cake for breakfast. You know what I mean? But after asking her some questions, I realized what the issue was. She was telling me that her muffins were coming out like cupcakes, like they didn't have a muffin top, like they weren't like rising enough in the oven. And so I immediately knew what was wrong. When you're making muffins, you want to fill these to the top. Okay, and when you're making cupcakes, you want to fill it about halfway to give them an opportunity to rise. But muffins are notorious for muffin tops, and we can only achieve that if we fill these up all the way to the top. Don't think that you're overfilling these by putting this to the top. That's how you're going to achieve that muffin top. Okay, so as you can see, our recipe is going to make 12 muffins, okay? If you have more batter in here, it needs to go in here, okay? So, because this makes 12, all right? If you made the streusel, this is when we go ahead and put this on before we put them in the oven, okay? And here's something quick and easy. If you ever don't want to make this kind of topping, which is called a streusel, for your muffins or any other kind of bake, you can just take sugar and cinnamon, mix that together, and then put that on top, and then you have your topping, all right? Another variation of this is putting some type of nuts in here, walnuts, pecans, something like that. Now, my husband is not a fan of putting pecans and nuts and stuff on here. I am. So some of these are going to have this, and then I'm going to take some pecans, some chopped pecans, and mix it in here and do it for the rest because I'm a texture kind of girly. So we're going to go in here with our hands, and we're just going to put a generous amount on here. And you can like stick this, kind of press it in just a tad, just to make sure that it sticks on there nice and good as it's baking. If you're getting this all over your pan like I am, don't worry. It's not a big deal, okay? We can clean it up. And now we're going to go ahead and put our muffins in our preheated oven to bake to perfection. These are absolutely gorgeous. They're golden brown. They've risen, so we have those classic muffin tops. I made them, you made them, we made them together. Down in the comments below, let me know what you would like to make together next, and I'll catch you in the next video.